Right, so we're now technically live. So what I'll do is I'll just whip this on to 2.5 minutes. I think that'll be perfectly fine for us. Just to let everyone kind of get settled. We're not using the 5-minute countdowns from the cup of tea because I don't want to confuse everybody and let everyone think that we're doing a cup of tea hangout. This is a one-shot. It's a one-off. And we're kind of actually missing somebody as well because I know that...
I think Karina's supposed to be here.
Well, Katrina can't make it. I knew that was going to be slightly awkward. But I know that Megan said that she was going to try and join us from the Nerdy Girly.
Megan.
She's enjoying the sights of Denver instead, rather than hanging with us people.
Chris, did I meet you at Comic-Con by any chance at Tony's Dragon's Den party?
No, I was there for like 15 minutes and I was looking for you and never could cross paths, and then we had to go to another party and I never got back in time. You had already left.
Oh, okay.
You're just two kind of social butterflies. A lot of you know that, right?
We were on the move non-stop, that's for sure.
Yes, if you are watching, if you've joined us nice and early, which is great, do let everyone know that we're going to be on live in about 60 seconds time. And if you haven't seen this amazing film of Star Wars The Force Awakens, turn this hangout off right now, because we are going to get spoilerific on your ass. So warn you right now, we have decided as the arbiters of the internet that right now is when we can start actually talking about what we've seen. This has actually been kind of prompted by I think Jason Coe at Corgi Commander. I think there was a couple of other people who tweeted us and said, can we do a spoiler heavy hangout about Star Wars The Force Awakens? That's what we're doing. And then Mark Serby said, hey, I'm up for that, let's do this.
Yeah, now I'm regretting it.
He just quits out.
Yeah. If you ask me an important question and I drop out, you know it's because I couldn't answer it, not my internet connection.
Get a self-destruct button. Ow. There it is.
That's my countdown thing. Okay. Yeah, so it'll be where Mark Serby just goes and pretends that there's a screen freeze and just pretends for a little while. Welcome along, not to a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego, although I do have my cup of tea to hand. That's the thing that I usually do on a Sunday. Hopefully you are a regular viewer to that, but this is a one-off that we're doing to talk about an amazing film which came out for us in the UK last Thursday. I believe it was Friday in the US. Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Yes.
Obviously, the one thing that everyone has been saying pretty much from the moment that the film came out was, no spoilers. Don't tell us a damn thing. We don't want to ruin it. We don't want to be the ones to ruin it. No spoilers. Well, considering that the film has made something in the ballpark of $245 million on its opening weekend and smashing the previous holder of that title, it's safe to say a fair amount of people have seen it. So now I think it's safe that we can actually talk about the film. If you've not seen the film, now's the time to turn off, because this is a Star Wars The Force Awakens spoilerific hangout. We're going to be talking nothing but the plot. We're going to be talking about the characters, about what we saw in the film, and if you haven't seen it, we are going to ruin it for you. So please do turn off this hangout right now. However, if you are a Star Wars fan, if you've seen the film, it's time to crack on. We have ourselves some fantastic guests who have joined us and said thank you very much indeed to the invite. We have the person who kind of instigated the whole thing, which is Mark Serby, who's joined us. Hello, Mark. How are you, sir?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Leonard. All good.
How did you see The Force Awakens?
8 AM Thursday morning and then 6 PM Thursday evening.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other question we're going to be asking is how many times you've seen it at this point, because the numbers are still rolling in, and it's definitely a film which holds up on repeat viewing. Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, so you've seen it twice now. Are you intending to go see it again?
I'm not sure yet. I may see it in the new year. Just wait for the crowds to die down a little bit and just have another rewatch. I'm not sure yet. We're going to see how it goes.
You may treat yourself after a post-Christmas lull.
Yes.
Excellent stuff. We also have somebody who we have had on the Cup of Tea Hangouts before, and it's a pleasure to have him back. We have Mr. Chris Sully joining us from the Nerd Fruit. Hello, Chris. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. You almost called me Chris Searby there, didn't you?
No. I do see you as blood brothers, as kind of like kindred spirits. So
definitely so. Yeah, he's good people. That one.
How's your festive season shaping up so far? How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Making those last-minute Christmas plans, getting everything situated. I managed to make it out on Thursday night at 11 o'clock to see the film by myself. And then went again on Sunday and took the wife, watched it for a second time, and you were right, it holds up on second viewing. And I think I'm going to see it a third time on the old 3D IMAX soon.
I mean, I saw it on the laser IMAX, which
wow.
was the format which I know that J.J. Abrams said was kind of like the optimal format. There was only 2 screenings in the UK that was doing it, and I managed to see it at the Sheffield one. And we're going to be talking about the 3D of the film in a bit, because some people have been saying that it didn't actually require the 3D, but we'll talk about that very soon indeed. So yeah, you've seen it twice. Is the wife a Star Wars fan? Did she go in cold, or is...
She's seen them all, but she's nowhere near as hardcore as I am, that's for sure. When we walked out, I said, "So what'd you think?" She's like, "It was good." So I quit talking to her after that.
Okay. And you've got the lawyers involved? You're
Not
okay?
yet.
You're all
Not
good?
yet. Mediation.
Okay. That's fair enough. And we have ourselves 2 people who I follow regular on Twitter and on social media, because they do produce some of the best podcasts out. We had a little bit of a love fest before we went live about certainly the Flash podcast and also the Marvel Report. We have ourselves Andy Babakt. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, there was a little love fest going on. I'm still blushing, if you can't tell. Through all this giant beard. FY, it's just a hiatus beard. This is not what I normally look like, because I don't know, beard is it's just sticky on me for some reason. But yeah, no, I saw the film with my big sister last Friday, and it was actually the first time we'd gone to a cinema together since, I think, X-Men Days of Future Past or something like that. So it's been a while, and I'm a casual Star Wars fan, so I'm still getting into the universe. But once I got out of the film, I'm like, I need books. I need more. I need to just get myself into this universe even further. So yeah.
So the film's absolutely converted you into a full-blown...
I mean, like, the original trilogy, like got me interested in film, like got me psyched, and then once Disney bought Lucasfilm, I'm like, they're doing more Star Wars film. This will be interesting. Don't get me started on the prequels, because I'm not the biggest fan of them. Although there's some good things with them. But once I saw this one, I'm like, yes, I'm so on board. Like, I need a Star Wars TV show. I need more Star Wars in my life.
It's already there, Star Wars Rebels.
Well, I mean, I know, but like a live action Star Wars TV show. So I'm like, although even though I have like 10,000 shows to watch already, and so I'm like, I need more Star Wars either way. But yeah, but like this film got me really, like, I want to keep it. I want to keep up with it now fully, and so not fall behind and so on, because there's still like I don't know the names of all the planets, for example, or all the species, or some of the characters. So I'm like, sometimes I have to go on the computer, like, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. Okay. So but this film, like, hopefully this film will really like get me all like hyper about it, like moving forward. So.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm going to hold my hand up as well. I'm not one that will actually go out and buy like the vehicle cross sections and find out exactly where the Millennium Falcon was built. That kind of thing. I'm not that kind of Star Wars fan. But I mean, we may have our last guest may be that kind of person. We have ourselves Katz joining us. Hello, Katz. Katz. Now let me see if Calamera.
Calamia. Very close, though.
So close. So yes, from Comic Uno on Twitter, and also contributor to Marvel Report. So yes, what's your Star Wars background, and how many times have you seen it, and what's your preparation for Force Awakens been?
Yeah, honestly, I'm more on Andy's side. I am more of a casual Star Wars fan, but I've been getting really into it with Star Wars Rebels because I'm a huge Greg Weisman fan with the comic books, obviously, with Marvel and all that. So, yeah, I've been a casual fan for a while, but now with Force Awakens, I've definitely been more excited about the franchise and wanting to get into it even more. I've only seen it once so far, but I'm hoping after the holidays I'll see it again. So. And I saw it at 7 on Thursday. So the first showing I could see it, I saw it.
Excellent stuff. I think we've said already, myself and Mark, and I think for the other guys as well, we will say that the film absolutely stands up for repeat viewings, especially considering that for the first scene of the film, it seemed I was still on a high of the fact that I'm seeing a new Star Wars film, and I kind of missed a whole bunch of the dialogue from the first scene. So if anything, going back to see the film a second time, I managed to kind of absorb the things that I missed in that first screening because of my excitement. We should actually say that, like I say, this is going to be spoiler heavy. If you want to jump in on the discussion and tell us what we to discuss in this hangout, do jump in on the Q&A. Do let us know what you want us to talk about in the next sort of 45 minutes to an hour. And of course, if there's anything that you want to add to what we're talking about. I'm going to try my best to sit back and let my four guests kind of lead the way about what they want to talk about. But I think we're going to definitely start with the big character of the film, and the one that so much discussion has been made about so far, which is, of course, Rey. What's been everyone's take on the character of Rey? Certainly in terms of the whole business of Rey being a Mary Sue, which has been a bit of a discussion over the last kind of day or so. What's everyone's take of that been?
I guess I personally disagree with the Mary Sue comment. I think I saw a comment on Twitter, and I kind of agree with this. She has the same abilities as Luke, so if Rey's a Mary Sue, then Luke is too. But I don't think she is, and I love her character. She's my favorite part of the film. And as a female viewer, I love seeing, and again, spoiler alert, but I love seeing, you know, a main character that's female, that has the Force, and we can say that now.
Yeah, we don't even have to qualify that anymore. We don't even have to say spoiler alert. Okay, let's just jump.
It's so weird saying it though now. I mean, the actors must feel even weirder, but it's so weird actually saying the spoilers. But yeah, I think it's so cool in the moment where she actually realized about her Force and was starting to use the Force was so epic for me. I love the character. She's my favorite from the movie.
The one thing that I definitely wanted to make a check on when it went to the second viewing was when that, well, the awakening of the Force in Rey actually kicked in, and it did seem to happen from the moment that she went down below Maz's castle and into the room with the lightsaber. It did seem very much an echoing of Empire Strikes Back, with Luke going into the Force Cave.
Oh yeah.
Did anyone get that kind of vibe?
Yeah, that flashback, flash forward twist on the way they filmed it. Yeah, I got that feeling too.
Well, I mean, a number of people have also been talking about the similarities of the film, with not only kind of like a gelling of New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. What was everyone's take on the film in that regard, in terms of how the film was structured? The fact we had a big space cannon, we had the confrontation with the baddie and well, Kylo Ren and Han Solo, which very much mirrored the Darth Vader Obi-Wan Kenobi fight in New Hope. What's everyone's take? Did that when you kind of saw the structure in place and you saw where the film was headed, did that take anything away from the film at all for anyone?
I'll jump in on this. I think it was definitely done on purpose. because JJ and Disney and everybody involved wanted to ease all of us into this new launching of Star Wars, and I think they went way heavy on the familiar. They brought back Harrison Ford and Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker and everybody, if only for a minute here and there. But definitely to ease us in and then introduce these new characters, and I think sticking with the format was part of that. I will say I rolled my eyes. The only part was when they showed the third Death Star. But at least they paid homage to it and made fun of it at the same time with Han Solo's comments about, well, there's got to be a way to blow it up. There's always a way to blow it up. So I thought that was pretty great.
Yeah, for me, something I actually took, remember feeling from the film was that, that even if you hadn't seen the prequel or the original trilogy and so on, I feel like the way they kind of introduce us to the whole film, because it is a completely new chapter to Star Wars. I felt like it was, whether you were an old fan or a new fan, you could easily get into it and so on. Because yes, there are a few things that I don't remember from the original trilogy that I maybe should, but I just felt like I can get into this, and so I don't have to yes, I know the background and so on, but I don't have to know literally every single thing that has happened already and so on, and it made it for an easy experience for me to at least view it and so on.
What was everyone's take on the little nods to the New Hope and Empire Strikes Back? It's when Finn picks up the floating training droid from
that was awesome.
Luke is on the Millennium Falcon. There was, of course, Finn turning on the holo board.
Yeah, that was awesome. Just the way they introduced or reintroduced the Millennium Falcon was awesome. Like, our entire audience went nuts when they finally turned and showed the Millennium Falcon, it was perfectly done.
Let's face it, those bits that you're talking about, like the Millennium Falcon and obviously the droid ball and everything else like that, they're cameos. This is the whole thing, it's regardless of us saying, oh, so-and-so's got a cameo in, the Millennium Falcon's in it. It's a cameo. Well, obviously it goes on to become more, but there are cameos from robots and from other little bits in there. So it's all one huge cameo, basically.
I think my personal favourite cameo was actually in Maz's castle. The little furry werewolf-type character that kind of goes across the screen. If you when the trio Han Solo, Rey and Finn actually go into the bar at first, and this little werewolf kind of character scuttles across. That was the original character design for Han Solo, as drawn by Ralph McQuarrie back in 1976, and I thought that's a nice little nod. I thought that the fact that they were embracing all the history, I thought that was particularly cool. I think with the character of Rey, though, it seems like, unlike the original trilogy, where the writing definitely had it set up questions, but it kind of still was very self-contained, and you kind of had some idea that there was things beyond the film, but it didn't impact too much on the story. The fact that Rey did kind of almost instantly have a massive amount of force power did kind of strike me as a bit jarring. What did everyone's take of the scene with Kylo Ren when she kind of switched the interrogation round? What was everyone's take on that?
I mean, no, you can go on.
Go on, Andy, you go first.
No, to me, because I think about, because something that I always look with something like the Flash, for example, and so is that when you have such a huge power set to you and so on, it's always you're telling it in whether it is a 23-hour period or a 2-hour period, so you always have to think about what the pacing is going to be like and so on. And I feel like maybe in this case with Rey, being able to access it so quickly, like, it might actually get explained in episode 8 and so on, that maybe she's had glimpses and hints to it like throughout her life and so on, and maybe that in that one moment that it made sort of sense that she she could turn around so quickly and actually use it to her advantage. But I can understand also the issues of like it's only been what, like 1.5 hours, she's already being all of this, but I didn't really have much of a problem and so on, because I just I was all about Rey in that film. So there was one point in the film I was going to turn to my big sister and say, because I thought they were actually going to kill Rey off, I was going to turn to say, they kill her off, I'm leaving this theater right away. I don't care. Like, I will leave. Don't care who will look, because I'm like, this is someone I'm going to stick around. Like, I loved all of the new characters and so on. Like, I'm, Oscar Isaac is kind of like my new bae because he's also sort of sexy, and Finn is just one of the funniest characters ever, and Rey is, you know, like, I'm all about strong female characters and so on, but I'm like, because there was like, what if she's just a one-up? Because I know they started shooting episode 8, and like at first we hadn't heard if she was in it or something, and they were, you know, looking for new female leads and stuff like that. I'm like, are they killing her off? I mean, I know, you know, there should be, you know, there can be multiple female leads at the same time, but I was like, if they kill her off, I'm walking and I'm never seeing this film again. But luckily they didn't, and so yeah, no, that's how, like, but in terms of the Force and so on, like, that's how I look at it. Like, it makes sense. It might make even more sense in episode 8 and even episode 9. So, but you know, I think it was badass.
Let's go down the guests here and sort of go through our own personal theories. Who is Rey, and where did she come from, and more importantly, who is her parents? And Andy, what's your immediate impressions?
Rey Skywalker. That's what I think. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. It would make so much sense, but also make the universe feel a little bit small if it's like, you know, oh, she's, you know, Luke's daughter or something like that. But also I think it would be kind of cool as well, especially that, you know, at the end of the film, which I, you know, we'll talk about. But that's the only fear I have in terms of who she is. Can't think of anyone else at the moment.
Sure. Kat, your thoughts on Rey?
Yeah, I think she's the daughter of Luke also, because I've been hearing so many theories of, like, oh, she's definitely Princess Leia and Han's daughter because of the extended universe, because in the extended universe, like, the villain and the hero and Leia's children are one's on the dark side, one's not. So they're thinking, oh, they're twins, that's what's going to happen here too. And honestly, like, the movie wouldn't make sense if that happened, because Leia and Han spent a significant amount of time with Rey, and it didn't really seem like they knew her that much, or they didn't really seem like, hey, I'm your mom, or hey, I'm your dad. So I personally would think that they would really have to work in that twist to make it make sense, and I don't know if they can. So I think she's definitely the daughter of Luke.
Okay. Chris?
I think that's the strongest theory so far, but then I've been reading a bunch on the web since then, and one good question that somebody posed is, did Obi-Wan have kids? And did they have kids? Because, I mean, where else are you going to get the Force? There's only, you know, a handful of limbs in that family tree. So I really don't know. Luke seems like the best theory, because, too, she was waiting on, I forget the name of the planet because I'm horrible at stuff like that. There you go. She was waiting on Daku forever, making those little notches for each day that she was there waiting on someone to return. They had to have been gone, what, 15, 20 years? How long has Luke been disappeared?
I actually quite liked the theory that it's Obi-Wan's kid. If anything, because, well, quite frankly, Obi-Wan looks like Ewan McGregor. He's going to get somewhere. He's going to be a popular chap. And I think it's very possible that he has left little Jedi-lets around the universe. Who knows?
There's some further tidbits to support that, too. Did you hear that they actually used his voice in the film?
Really?
Yeah, in the scene where she goes down and touches the lightsaber and has that little vision quest of hers, there's a voice that tells her basically, like, this is your beginning, or this is your first step in your journey. And that voice is a combination of Ewan McGregor and... I can't remember the other from the original trilogy, but basically whoever played Obi-Wan then.
Alec Guinness.
There you go. It was a combination of those two voices. So Obi-Wan was the one telling her she was beginning down that path, which might support the theory that she's a relative of his.
I do quite like a couple of the comments that's coming in on the Q&A. El Macias is saying Luke receiving the lightsaber from a Kenobi again, leading on to the final scene. What was your take on Ren? On Rey. Sorry, Ren. Rey, Mark. What was your thoughts on her? And who do you think where she's come from?
Well, it all does point to her being Luke Skywalker's daughter. However, I kind of don't want her to be. I want her to be her own person, because as we've known from those hideous prequels, we've seen the Jedi Council train young Jedis and stuff like that, and you know, there's more than one. They weren't all kids of Luke or Han, so there can be other Jedis out there, and I kind of want her to be her own person rather than feel like she's under the shadow of her dad. So I would like that. I get the feeling that she's going to be Luke Skywalker's daughter, which, you know, hey, that's fine. I'm fine with it, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it's a bit too obvious. I would like them to go and change it up a bit.
Okay. We've got Tim Roberts who's watching saying it's a good job there's no such thing as child support in the Star Wars universe. It's a perfectly valid point. I'm going to use a word now on my personal thoughts on Rey and where she's come from. Midichlorians.
Oh,
I know.
Bye, everybody.
This is where the viewer count tanked. But as everyone no, hear me. We've had one immaculate birth from the in the Star Wars universe. It's more than possible. The Force has awoken, and another immaculate conception has come about. But at the end of the day, Rey was remembering that a ship left her on Jakku. So okay, maybe there's a slight hole in that particular theory, but it could be a nice way to tie back into the prequels. The one thing that was very obvious from the film that the prequels weren't even referred to, was that a good thing or a bad thing? Mark?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Of course it is. Thank goodness they don't refer to those bloody awful films. The problem with those, and obviously I don't want to sidetrack it, but the problem with those prequels is George Lucas was too concerned with having great CGI and forgot stories. That's the thing. He forgot stories. So why would you even go back to those? Because they're not good stories at all. So no, let's not touch them at all. Thank you. Just leave it.
Out of the 5 of us here, I am the only prequel defender. I get this.
Not necessarily. One thing I will always, commend the prequels for, aside from Hayden Christensen, I think the cast of all those 3 films were pretty solid. So I think it was just, bad script writing and, maybe, mostly that, because
bad chemistry too, like between Christensen and Portman. I didn't like their chemistry.
Hayden was just wrong for the whole part. I'm like, but the rest of them were phenomenal. I feel because visually it's beautiful. They're beautiful films. The casting wise, aside from Hayden, all terrific actors like Portman, Samuel Jackson, and all those people. So, but yeah, I gotta agree. That George sort of forgot about the storytelling and was just like, let's make them fancy and stuff like that. And for some reason, I can't just I'm trying to imagine him saying the word fancy because I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I'm weird that way.
Well, like Kat said, I mean, the one thing that certainly didn't work in the prequels was that chemistry between the characters. That's one thing that J.J. Abrams absolutely nailed from the get-go. There was a very interesting tweet that I spotted over the last day or so. It's very rare to get the ability for a character to become likable and accessible within the course of a film. The fact that this film achieves it with 3 characters in the first 20 minutes says an awful lot. What's everyone's take then on Finn? What did everyone take away from that particular character? Out of the 3, Poe Dameron, Rey, and Finn, would you? I mean, I'm gonna say that he was actually the weakest of the 3, but considering how strong all 3 were, that's not saying a great deal. What was everyone's take on Finn?
We're leaving out BB-8.
Oh, we can come back to BB-8.
Can't forget about the BB.
There you go.
So on our scale of 4, then we've got BB-8's at the top. Obviously, he's the best.
BB-8 always wins.
BB-8 wins, and then you've got Rey, and then you've got Poe, who's just a rock star, and then you've got Finn. But Finn's character was interesting. I thought, considering that I'm trying to. A lot of people have been trying to work out any kind of backstory for Finn, when it could easily just be a very straightforward guy trying to do his best by what he's been brought up to. What was everyone's thought on that?
I'll go with that. Backstory for Finn. Grew up South London council estate. Him and his mates battled some aliens, and then obviously he was taken into outer space and decided to continue to battle aliens.
Back the block.
Attack the Block. Allow it. Allow it.
Great film.
You're actually going to fold Attack the Block into the Star Wars canon.
That's how he got the job. That's how he got the job. J.J. Abrams must have seen Attack the Block and said, that's the guy, because he's phenomenal in that film. That film's fantastic if nobody's seen it, but he's got to have done it, you know? But that's my theory. Clearly it's wrong anyway, but, you know.
I feel Finn, like, I liked him from the start and so on, and as well, I feel he had good pacing of character development actually pretty quickly for his own. Like, even though he started out a little bit weak and so on, I feel he quickly developed into some, a very proper character and so on. And one of my favorite moments with him is how when Rey kind of, because there's several times they're being chased and stuff like that. And he's for some reason always just trying to hold her hand, like thinking oh, the girl always needs to hold hand. I was like all about the girl power when Rey was like you don't need to hold me, and then she turns around and offers her hand to him like let me save your ass. And that was just one of my favorite moments. And but I feel like throughout the film he develops pretty well and so on. Like, you kind of you start rooting for him more and so on, and yeah, and hope I think it's, even though he had maybe the weaker character start and so on, at least he was in the film more than I was, for example, disappointed that Poe wasn't in it a lot and so on. Like, he was gone throughout. He was gone. Like they crashed and then he was gone. Then he only shows up like in the third half, in the third part of the film, and then so that's why Finn kind of goes beyond him, goes up top of him on the list for me, because gets character development, he's actually in it a lot and so on. But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I really liked Finn also. I liked his sense of humor, and it's so weird though. Like, I do think I like Poe more, and what Andy was saying, he wasn't in the film that much, and that actually says a lot. If you're not in the film a lot and you still like him more, not saying a lot from Finn, but just saying how much Poe was such a good character, and hopefully they'll flesh him out more. But I really liked Finn and Rey's friendship, and honestly Finn and Poe's friendship, and I think that was the strongest part of Finn, was his bonds between the other characters. But yeah, I'm really excited to see Finn fleshed out a bit more, and I loved his humor, and I think all three of them were really, really strong characters.
Yeah, I also as Andy said, the humor of Finn as a character was very refreshing. Although it does, when you kind of constantly remind yourself that he was a stormtrooper, and you think to yourself, well, do we actually know of any funny stormtroopers? Yes, we do. We now know two that know that when Kylo Ren is kicking off in a room and things are obviously happening in a side room, you want to back the hell away. That was the funniest thing in the whole film for me. I was absolutely rocking when that happened, and the two stormtroopers just went, Dave, back up, back up.
Yeah, we ain't doing this.
Dave, I love it. Dave the stormtrooper.
Dave, back up, man.
He must have a lot of temper tantrums, though. But that's something I liked about Kylo also, is that he was kind of childish in the movie, and that's something I thought was an interesting attribute to himself. And that was shown by how many tantrums he had throughout the film. But we'll obviously, I'm sure, get to his character. But I thought that was interesting.
Do you know what? I completely agree with you on that, Kat. I like the fact that he doesn't hold back, whereas we've seen Darth Vader, who was a very cold and calculating villain, and he was very methodical. Kylo Ren is a complete nutjob. He doesn't care. He will happily take anybody out, and it kind of feels refreshing to have a bad guy in a Star Wars universe who doesn't have boundaries. He goes, right, yep, that's it, right, you're going to die now, and that's it, they're gone. So it's nice to see somebody who we would normally see in an R-rated action movie actually be in a Star Wars franchise.
Sure. And also the fact that he doesn't really know what the hell he's doing, because he is just a petulant child. Considering that, now I knew I was going to forget a character. General Hux, there we go, actually turned around and said he let the droid go because he said that we've got Rey, we're fine. That he does make mistakes. He is just. I know that the character and the actor playing Kylo Ren is a little bit older than. So like mid-20s, 25, whatever. But he really was like a 7-year-old little kid that just didn't know what the hell to do. And I'd like to know when he was taken away by Luke to be trained. I'd like to see when he was actually taken away from Luke and Han. From Han and Leia, sorry.
Luke and Han. Ooh, that would be an interesting show.
Alternate universe.
On Earth 2 of the Star Wars universe. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Was any other comments about? Well, I mean, we're kind of naturally moving in through the characters. It was interesting that Finn didn't have any interaction with, well, apart from the fight at the end. That it seemed that he got the confidence to take on Kylo Ren. What you were talking about the character development of Finn. Do you think he kind of went from being that guy who wanted to run away from the First Order to being ballsy enough to take on Kylo Ren a little bit too soon?
I think it made sense because I think as a stormtrooper his whole life he didn't really have friends and he didn't have anyone like pat him on the back. And once he found Poe and found his friends, it gave him the confidence enough to say, hey, maybe I am good at this. So I think if you didn't have that Poe scene with the ship, it wouldn't make sense. But since you had that scene, it kind of made sense.
Well, he even said at one point when he was talking to Rey, nobody's ever looked at me like that before. So, like, yeah, he had this inner confidence because we don't know who he was before he was a stormtrooper. We know he was a kid, but, I mean, why is he the only one that seems to have bucked this brainwashing? There's apparently a much stronger inner being to him than we know.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about in terms of his the character development, that people are seeming to want to put a lot of backstory in, that perhaps he's Rey's sister, that he's a relative of another character in the franchise, whereas I would just like him. I think it's like Mark said, it'd be nice to just have a character that just exists on his own merits instead of having Skywalker attached to his surname. I'd quite like Finn to grow and develop almost as like the through line for the new films.
And sort of act as like the eyes of the audience on, because if he had, because I don't know, one of my friends had said like what if he's like Lando's kid? I'm like, once again, it goes back to the whole like, well, then you make the universe so small because like then it's like Once Upon a Freaking Time on ABC, like everyone is related to everybody, so it would it would be. I'm sorry, like I'm not kidding, like I think every character on that show, at least in the main cast, is somehow related to each other in the show. But I feel like if Finn was just a standalone character, had no attachment to like Lando, like that he's Rey's sister, brother, or something like that, like just kind of act as his own separate character. I feel like that makes the universe feel bigger and so on. And like for example, when Rogue One comes like next year, I don't see any attachment to the Skywalkers there at all. And I feel like the present movies, if you know what I mean, like in their time, have characters that are separate from Skywalkers or the Landos and so on.
That makes total sense. Absolutely. Right, so we then touched on, and it's time to dive into Kylo Ren, the bad boy of the new films. And we're obviously talking about him being a very petulant child. But did you feel he was a strong baddie for this particular film, or was it more a case of just kind of watching a live wire getting just warming up?
I'll jump in first on this one. I think they did a great job with him, giving us just enough to see what we're clearly going to see in the future films. But I thought Adam Driver did an amazing job with the character, and I really liked the scene with Han Solo, and hated it at the same time. Of course, I wanted to give him the finger and scream at the screen when that happened, but because I grew up with the Star Wars films, and that's my favorite character, always has been. But he did such a great job, and I love what they did with his voice, even though a lot of people probably hate it because everybody seemed to hate what they did with Batman's voice. But I love that. Like, he was trying to be Darth Vader so hard that he had to have this mask to hide his face and to make himself look menacing, and the all black and that distorted voice, and yet he was failing so hard to control himself like Vader did. I think that's who he'll end up being more like, for sure, down the road. But I thought he did a fantastic job, and I really loved to hate him. So I think he did what he was supposed to.
Yeah, I thought this was a good part one for him. I thought they did everything they needed with the character. They obviously showed the relationship that he had with Rey, which is important because your hero is only as strong as your villain and vice versa. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good introduction to his character. And I like that he wasn't, like, he was powerful, obviously, but he's not that trained. So it kind of made the last battle interesting, that these two people with a lot of power that's not really trained fighting each other, and that made the last battle fun for me, at least.
I feel he was sometimes being overshadowed by I mean, was it Hux? You know, that other
General Hux, yeah.
General Hux. I feel like there were times where he was being overshadowed by Hux a little bit, and acting more as. Here's a good comparison. You know how Bane worked in The Dark Knight Rises, and then only to reveal that he was Talia al Ghul's, lover and stuff like that. There were times where I felt like that Hux was kind of like taking a little bit too much, but towards the later part of the film, I feel that Kylo really got into his own and kind of like, this is a belief. I liked him from the start, but there were times like, okay, Hux, you're kind of overstepping and getting in there too much. But then Kylo kind of like became his own, and I liked the flawed layers of him and so on. That he isn't, he's trying to be so much like Darth Vader, but he's still, yet he's not. He's not 100% perfect. He's kind of like even though he has some experience, more than Rey. I like that he's kind of like still learning more about how to really get into. I think this is his way of kind of like the prequel to him becoming a big bad throughout the new trilogy and so on. And yeah, Adam Driver, like, I'm always so used to seeing him with a beard and stuff like that. I've seen a few episodes of his show Girls, and I'm always used to seeing the beard and so on. But he looked like like a kid, and like I like that he was acting a lot like a kid and so on with the temper tantrum, and so yeah, like I was impressed.
I think there's going to be a lot of that when they do kind of deal with the backstory of what he did when Luke was setting up the new Jedi school and the betrayal of the Knights of Ren, which we did see that. Now, people have been saying that that's a flash forward. The glimpse of the Knights of Ren on a background, a planet, whatever. But I suspect that was actually a flashback to the massacre of the Jedi school with all the bodies of the Jedis, or certainly the bodies that were littering the ground around the Knights of Ren. Is everyone looking forward to seeing more Knights being revealed and talked about? Because that's a story that I'm very intrigued about. What's everyone's thoughts on that?
Sure, not that specifically, but I just want more. After seeing that, it got me hyped again. I've already rewatched the original trilogy, but now I want to go back and watch all 6 films again and watch this 5 more times. I just want more.
Fair enough. Well, we might as well discuss the elephant in the room then. It was kind of just touched on by Chris earlier in terms of Kylo Ren and the relationship with his father, which is Han Solo, of course. That was a very satisfying character development in terms of Do you think it was revealed a little bit too soon in the film? I was surprised at how quickly they revealed that particular nugget.
I think that was done on purpose too. In all these movies, there's the big spoiler surprise at the end, and they just went ahead and gave you an early tidbit. I thought
it was good also. I thought it made sense where they did it. Also, I guess going into the relationship, it was obviously very interesting once you got to the end, and it really shows that Kylo really wants to be like Darth Vader and show, hey, I'm totally to the dark side, even though, again, he doesn't even know enough about his grandfather that he was very much fighting between the dark and the light. But also something I kind of want to mention is General Leia, because I feel she's my favorite character from the original trilogy, and I don't think she was utilized enough. And something I thought they were going to touch upon in this movie is her Force, and they only did it really once where she knew, oh, Han died because of the Force, but they didn't really mention it after, and I felt she kind of played because she's always been such a strong character, and she played just the romance character. She's like, oh, well, I had this relationship with Han, and it's just heightening Han's story. So I'm hoping in the next 2 films they do more with Leia, especially with her relationship with her son. So I was really disappointed with her character. That was kind of like one of my biggest negatives towards the film.
I feel like in terms of the new trilogy, I feel like each film is kind of like this was Han's big focus and so on, and I have some thoughts on the ending of his character. I know this was his focus film. I feel the next one is going to be much about Leia, and I feel episode 9 is where Luke is really going to come into play and so on. I sort of agree with you where you're saying that she was there to kind of remind you, I used to be one of his love interests, and I used to be a prince and stuff like that. But no, I feel like the scenes that I did when we saw her again, I didn't just think about look, there's Han's old girlfriend. I felt
it wasn't that bad of an extent, but just thinking about I wanted more from her. But that's also we only seen this film. There's future films where that could change.
Exactly. So.
I feel you get the same amount of goosebumps as I did when Han shouted out the given name of Kylo Ren out of the platform. When he shouted out Ben, I wanted to pay attention the second time around, because the first time I saw the film, because of obviously the reverb of the atmosphere, the environment that they were in, I actually turned around and said, did he just call him what I thought he just called him?
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I have a reminder of what is Ben a little Easter egg, a little nod to something? Because I didn't catch upon it right away when he was I was oh, Harrison Ford really knows how to scream, but I wasn't sure what Ben was sort of hinting at.
Well, that's the name of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's Ben Kenobi.
You think you can mean old Ben Kenobi?
But if you're calling him Ben, right, don't you think this is once again causing the Star Wars world, to shrink again? Because all of a sudden, we're using the same name and whatever else. And it's why couldn't he have just called him Steve or something like that? Something normal. Because now I'm kind of thinking, Steve Solo, SS on his lunchbox or something. It's fine. But I'm starting to think that yes, okay, it's a great homage and everything like that. That's great, but it's shrinking that universe again.
I think the Nazi references in the film were a bit heavy enough.
Well, well, it's just in case people didn't pick up on it. That's the thing. But yeah, going to that scene. 6 months ago, I spoke to Jesse from the Nerd Truth, a friend of obviously Englishman in San Diego, at Comic-Con, and I said to him, my theory is Han Solo is going to die. That's the only reason Harrison Ford is back in this film, is to make sure he dies.
So it's your fault that he's dead then, because you wished upon that.
Yes, 100%.
Someone wrote it in.
Thank you very much for that, everybody. Yes, I think so. But it's true, Harrison Ford had not wanted to do any Star Wars films. He's beyond it. He's so bored of the whole Star Wars franchise and everything. And the only reason he came back, apart from just a £23 million paycheck, is to kill off the character, because now people are not going to keep stopping him in the street and asking him these questions, so he's happy about it. He can move on. But beyond that, it is a good scene. It is a good scene, regardless of him wanting to be out of it. It is a very good scene.
He truly doesn't understand nerds. Then it's only going to increase now.
Yeah. Is he really dead? Can he come back as a White Walker? This is what we want to know.
I see when that death happened. And I think it's just because because I watch so much comic book TV these days that I'm if there, yes, there's a body, it falls down, but I'm we don't know what's down there. I'm what if Lando just it's revealed? What if they're doing a Gandalf? It's gonna be real that somehow somebody saves him down there, and Lando's oh, look what have we here, and ooh, look at those wounds.
He's down there with the Emperor and Luke's old hand.
Yeah, I've had his old head from a few years ago, but I don't necessarily think that he is. I'm not necessarily thinking that he is dead. I don't want to be dead, because when that scene happened, I'm when he started here, take my license, I'm no, don't do it, don't go, no, don't step forward. I'm no, damn it, he did it, and I don't know, if he's dead, that was a good death scene, but episode 8, let's see how that goes. Let's see if we see
When did everyone kind of know that it was going to happen?
6 months ago.
You get spoiled. Thanks to you.
Yeah, I had the lightsaber.
The day of.
But when he grabbed the lightsaber, Andy.
Yeah, when he was reaching out, like, here, take it, and so I'm like, oh,
Also, the
damn,
red
no,
on
no, no,
his
no, no.
face. Like I love the lighting in that scene where he has red in his face. Like, yep, he's turned evil. He's gonna kill him. But I also don't think he's gonna come back. I hope not. That'd be so cheap. I'd be like, no, thank you. I don't need him to come back. Not that I don't like Han. I love Han, but it would lessen that scene if he came back.
I don't think they'll come back in this trilogy, but since they're going and doing standalone films that aren't necessarily in sequential order, I bet in the Han Solo film that they'll eventually make, we'll see current Han or just past Han and then younger Han in the same film. I bet they do like flashbacks.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yep.
Did anyone else kind of get the vibe as well? Certainly talking about what Han's been getting up to in the interim between Return of the Jedi and this new film. Is Han Solo a really crap smuggler?
Yes.
Wasn't he always, though? This is what
he does.
I thought he was, even in the original trilogy. I thought he was a bit of a, he wasn't very good. He always, as he says in this film, he gets through it by talking his way out of it. And that's what I always kind of thought that he did in the originals as well. So I never thought of him as a good smuggler at all. I mean, what's a good smuggler anyway? I don't know. But I don't think
the one that doesn't get caught on?
Yeah, I guess so, yes.
He was keeping everybody's money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go through a couple of comments on the Q&A that people have been sending in. Please do keep sending them in on the Q&A. And, of course, if you can use the hashtag Englishman Star Wars as well if you want to send them in on Twitter. Tim Roberts is saying about Han Solo, thinks his death was a little obvious as soon as he set on that bridge. And also, Chewie moves on a bit quick, doesn't he?
He was sad.
I cry when he screamed. I'm like,
he's crying under the fur. It's just streaming down his face. You can't see it.
Corgi Commander has put possibly my favourite comment up on the Q&A. I missed the Kylo Ren reveal with Snoke because I had to go to the bathroom. So a bit of a fail on his part.
Hashtag weak bladder.
there are disturbers in the pattern.
I was absolutely making sure that I had been to the toilet enough times. I was not going to be leaving the cinema during this film. I didn't want to miss a thing, but no, it was the relationship between Kylo Ren and Snoke. I think is pretty much defined in the film. There doesn't seem to be any ambiguity there. That it is very much a case of Snoke is just manipulating Kylo Ren.
Am I the only one who thinks Snoke is probably like Ant-Man's size and he's just projecting himself? That big?
I couldn't help it.
Like, he's got a complex. He's really a short guy.
I got the sense that
He's Yoda-sized.
Yeah.
When seeing Snoke, even though I didn't want to go there, I kind of felt like, oh, so he's the Thanos of this universe now, like the puppet master that we won't see, like, until. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just like, this just reminds me a little bit about Thanos from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and
was it the chair? Is that why?
No, it was just the fact that it was a chair, but it was also. I'm like, okay, so of course, Andy Serkis' character is the one of the few things we have not seen a single image of. I'm like, with someone as talented as Serkis, I feel like, yeah, you could have him be like, the rule of the universe in some ways. So I'm like. But yeah, no, it's I don't know how to feel about him. I feel like that's where I'm like, I need to see more of him, like in episode 8 and 9. Like I don't know if I don't know if Rebels will like explore that and so on, or if there's like anything else. But yeah, I'm intrigued, but I don't know really know how to feel about him as of right now. But I'm glad that Andy Serkis is in this universe because more Andy Serkis is just perfect.
Yeah.
There's a strong chance.
I'm curious about Snoke, if anything, because in the not in the prequel trilogy, we did discuss the fact that there's always two when it comes to Sith. I'm curious as to whether Snoke is actually a Sith Lord at all, or whether he just happens to be rather Force sensitive. I'm very curious as to whether the Sith will be coming back and what the crack is with that. Elmer?
Sorry, Leonard, can I just jump in here just quickly? Andy, you were saying about Andy Serkis there as well. Was it just me, or the first time we see Snoke sort of lean in. He looked a little bit like Gollum. Was that
A
just
lot.
me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why is Gollum in this film? Why is he wearing clothes?
He avoided the word precious.
Yeah.
The precious is strong. There's a
The
disturbance in the
precious
precious.
is strong.
There's a disturbance in the precious. Oh my god. Someone make that like a meme or something.
Throw in a My Little Pony and you got yourself a winner.
Sure. We can go with that.
Got a comment from Elmachius. Do we think that Snoke could be Plagueis? If you listen to the piece Snoke from the soundtrack and Palpatine's teaching from Episode 3, the opera scene, the intro is exactly the same.
I've heard that correlation before. They could have been setting him up for a long, long time.
In a galaxy far, far away.
So
Sorry.
this is where, if you have, it's just, I don't know if it is that shrinking of the universe again, but it could be, that could be an interesting thing, if anything, because we were told that Plagueis was dead, killed by his student Darth Sidious in the prequels, or prior to the prequels.
I read a little bit on him, and apparently in his backstory, I don't know where it is in the canon, he was able to create life, thus the Immaculate Conception. So could he also bring himself back from death? Was one of the arguments.
Could he be Rey's father?
Could explain why the Force is so strong with her.
There we go. So there we go. There's a couple of comments about that in terms of making that connection between Snoke and Plagueis, and I think the one other comment that really does jump out, if anything, because it's so absolutely true. Captain Phasma, completely underutilized in this film.
For sure.
For all of the ramping up of seeing her on T-shirts as being one of the big selling toys when Force Friday happened, she was on the screen for
2 minutes tops. Yeah. Yeah, that was a
Hopefully
waste.
more movies, we'll see her.
Yeah, well, see, that's a tricky thing when you do, like, when you're kind of like not really launching a franchise, but when you're kicking off a new phase of a universe like Star Wars and a franchise like this, that it's not only do you have to introduce new characters, kind of like able to flesh out the universe, but you also kind of have to establish what's been going on with the old characters. So, and I feel that it's very difficult, especially when it's an ensemble movie. So, but at least the best thing was that they didn't kill her off, so that you feel like they got someone a really amazing actress, and then she was only there for 4 minutes, and then they kill her off. And at least they didn't do that. At least we know that she's there. She'll be back. We will hopefully see more of her in episode 8 and 9. So yes, I was let down by it, but I kept reminding myself, but like Poe, they're going to be in the next film and the film after that. So we will get that, but of course it's frustrating because we have to wait 2 freaking years now for that. So. But
I love the reference to the garbage chute, though.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, I don't know if anyone noticed. I mean, a lot has been built up about the fact that Captain Phasma is the first female stormtrooper, or certainly the first lead baddie that's a female in these films. Not the only female stormtrooper.
Right.
If everyone caught that, there was another female stormtrooper wandering around the Starkiller base. Right, speaking of the Starkiller base, as Chris did point out, the Death Star 3.0. I wasn't sold on this as a big finale, if anything, because I just thought it was kind of impractical building a weapon out of a planet. How you move it around, how you suck the energy of a star, and nobody knows about it.
Well, come on, suspend your disbelief a little bit, Leonard. Like, we've seen weirder stuff happen in this universe. No, I agree.
There's a planet, it's moving around, and the stars vanished.
I know.
What's that about?
Yeah, like even I was like, first thinking like, okay, so that scene with Hux and the Starkiller base. I'm like, well, hello, Nazi inspiration. Like the only thing Hux needed was I did a little mustache in the middle, so because it did get me. I'm like, there's a lot of black and white here. There's a lot of red flags, white, and so I'm like, that boy just needs himself a mustache, and then we're set to go. Not that I want to see garbage like that in my sci-fi film and stuff like that, but I'm like, yeah, it's one of those like, look at our big fancy thing that we don't need to explain at all. That it's just there and we blow things up and so on. But I feel like I'm using this argument way too much. There is episode 8 and 9 that can maybe explain some of those things. But yeah, but for first like impression, I'm like, big execution, not a lot of build up to it.
Also, was it me, or was there also less X-wings involved in this particular attack run, even though the threat was apparently bigger? In the original, in the Battle of Yavin, there was something like various squadrons. There was Y-wings, X-wings, left, right, and center. Here, it just looked like there was 6.
When they show him giving that giant speech in front of the Hitler flag, there's like 1,000 TIE fighters or X-wings lined up on the freaking deck there.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, at the start of the crawl, right at the beginning, they say that they've got the best fighter pilot in the galaxy on this job, and obviously they're talking about Poe Dameron. Well, if he's the best in the galaxy, you send that guy, and you just send other people just to flank him and eventually, obviously, die and stuff like that. You've got the best fighter pilot in the galaxy. Send him. He's going to do the job.
Fair enough. You are Team Poe. That's fine.
I'm very much Team Poe. Oh yes, absolutely. He's the best. He's the best character in the entire film.
Silver leans back and his shirt says Team Poe.
I wanted to feel this, but
I need. If there's not one scene of him shirtless in the 2 movies, I'm like,
I don't think we'll see that, but you never know.
Like I just I have my things, I just want to see it once because, let's be honest here now, Oscar Isaac is one attractive, hot, sexy, beautiful man. And I just said the same word 5 times, so but just so you know, like he's really hot and it was distracting. I'm like don't go away. We need more of you. So
Andy, you don't have to hold back on this. You can just speak freely and say what you think.
I want to keep it PG because if I went on
maybe you should hold back. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Andy, you can actually see that he does get his top off in a film called Ex Machina earlier from this year. So if you do want to see Oscar Isaac's almost naked, actually, get that film because he's in.
You'll be starting up that Mr. Skin competitor.
This is where you can only see my head down below. I'm really working out. But going back to Oscar Isaacs, for me, he's Man of the Year. He's absolutely Man of the Year. He's had a phenomenal year in movies and TV, and his role in, obviously, Star Wars just caps it off for him. He really has been brilliant this year, and he's so bloody cool in it. So bloody cool. He's like the Fonz. He's that cool. You can't. This is the thing. You're talking about him shooting at the end of the Death Star. It's kind of like the Fonz flicking the coin into the jukebox. That's all he's doing. He's flicking a bullet into the Death Star. Boom, gone. There we go.
I think only 2 of us caught that reference, Serby. The other 2 might be lost.
Happy days. I got it.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
But he is. He's the coolest guy in it. He really is so cool.
Yeah.
Kind of like the new Han Solo in some ways. Like, if we're going to... Because I feel something that this
trilogy... torch there, wasn't there?
Sorry?
There's definitely the passing of the torch there, wasn't there?
Yes. I think that's what the trilogy is going to be about as well. I feel like by the end of episode 9, and I don't know if there will be an episode 10, 11, or 12, we will see, but like I feel like if, these are characters that are going to pass on the torch onto, and so I feel like they've picked out a perfect trio, like, passing on the torch from, Leia / Luke over to Rey. I feel that's, going to make a lot of sense, that, from Han to Poe, and so I feel that,
So what's Finn? Chewbacca?
Sorry?
So what is Finn? Chewbacca?
No, I maybe the new the new C-3PO. And I mean in a good way. Although I don't get the red arm. I'm just saying, like, I was like.
Well, I'm still waiting on the Marvel's one shot that explains the red arm, which
I did not get to read it either. It's a one-shot comic that came out a couple months ago.
Oh, I thought it was just an homage to Australian red-tip bananas. That's all I thought it was.
Okay, now I'm lost.
Yeah, I'm like,
Listen, when you finished here, look up Australian red tip bananas. It kind of looks like C-3PO. Maybe that's what they were
I feel
going
like
for.
that might lead me to a bad place on the internet. Is that a euphemism?
Safe search.
Yeah, I'm not typing in red tip anywhere. It's not happening. Okay, very quickly, let's cover some other characters of the film because we're at an hour 10. So let's wrap up some other characters. You were talking about your particular man crush there, Andy. I actually had a little bit of a man crush myself with Mr. Luke Skywalker with the flowing locks at the top of the Jedi steps. I'm guessing the idea is that he has been on this island. Pretty much from the moment that his Jedi school got massacred. The interesting point, though, was that Rey, when she was being interrogated by Kylo, he turned around and was force interrogating her and saying, "I can see the world of ocean, the island." So I'm trying to work out if Rey had been there before. And I think that kind of leads back to the whole business of being a Skywalker again, and I wasn't too sure about that. What was everyone's take on Luke and the fact that he only was in it for literally that final shot? Was he wasted?
Word.
Yeah, I wanted more. Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I wanted less from that scene because it like kind of went on forever. I'm like, if you're not gonna say anything, just cut it now. But so it's like I wanted more and less at the same time. But yeah, it's still a cool scene to kind of just see them face to face, especially if that is her father. But again, we're probably not gonna learn that until next movie. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a shame we didn't get to see him, but I think we'll be even more pumped for the next episode when we do.
Yeah.
for me, even though that as beautiful as that scene was, like the only thing that was going through my head was for some reason Mark Hamill saying the whole "My name is Luke Skywalker and for 5 years I've been stranded on an island." I'm like, why am I going to Arrow during a Star Wars film? It makes no sense. But like, it would have been hilarious.
Especially since he was on Flash and not Arrow.
Yeah,
And
he was
I don't know
more
why I said
on
Arrow.
Flash
But
than he was in this film. In
Yeah.
one episode of Flash, he was more there than he was in the
he
whole
was.
film.
Or if
It
he
makes
was like
sense.
a Joker reference, then I'd be cool with that too. But
And I think, last but not least, the one character that we talked about Phasma. We would like to have seen her more in it. We'd like to have seen more Luke. The one character that I wanted to see more of, and I'm so upset that J.J. Abrams made the decision to cut her scenes, was Maz. I loved that character. I absolutely adored her. From the moment she turned around and said, "Where's my boyfriend?" and Chewie's working on the Falcon. I like that Wookiee. That was my favorite. That for me. I mean, we'll ask the question which was our favorite character in the film, and we'll go down, I guess, to wrap things up. But for me, it was Maz. I loved that character. I liked the fact that it was such a radical departure from the person who is doing the motion capture, and that they still did this fantastic performance and brought Maz to the screen. I thought she was fantastic. Very curious as to how she got her hands on Luke's lightsaber. There's a lot of story there, and I can't wait to see more Maz.
I think you'll get more Maz on the DVD Blu-ray when it gets released. I think there'll be a lot more stuff on there that was cut out because of time and stuff like that, but actually probably answers quite a few of your questions, Leonard.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams did an interview with Collider Frosty a couple weeks ago, and he kind of pinned him and asked him how much is on the cutting room floor that we might get on the director's cut, and he said 10 to 20 minutes.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know what I'm pre-ordering on Amazon after this.
I already have. The Best Buy pre-order has free posters, so go to Best Buy and pre-order.
But then there will be an extended cut then, basically.
Yeah, I guess.
It'll be like Lord of the Rings. You'll get the normal edition, and then 6 months later you'll get the super box set, and we'll have to go out and buy it twice, but really it doesn't matter because we don't mind buying it twice.
I am hoping that there isn't going to be a director's cut of this film. I want the film to be the film. I think I'd like to take it back to where films aren't messed around with and made special editions of. I'd like the film to be the film.
But once you see a good director's cut of a film like The Abyss that actually makes the film
Yes.
100% better, it changes your world. Or
Yes.
Unbreakable.
My God, yes, you are completely spot on there, Chris. Absolutely. You watch The Abyss, and it's not particularly good. You watch the director's cut; it's sensational.
Yep, 4 more stars on that bad boy after that. Yeah, watch Unbreakable, the director's cut. Also a much better film. Sorry, I pushed us to the side there.
No, not at all. Let's see if what other comments on, and then we'll see if there's anything we can kind of wrap up on. Let's have a look. Corgi Commander. We had Kylo Ren that stopped a freaking blaster shot in midair. That's a whole new power to him.
Yep.
That was a cool moment, and we were talking about at the very beginning the 3D of the film. How did we think the 3D stood up? I mean, what format did you see the film in, everyone?
2D.
Just regular 2D.
Yeah, standard for me too.
I saw it in 3D both times.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's probably 2 shots in there that are worth seeing for the 3D, but they are 2 brilliant shots. So it is worth seeing in 3D. If you want to see something really pop off, because they do pop off, but second viewing, hey, I could live without it. It's not a problem.
Sure. I think I might actually go and see it in 2D just to see what
I want to see the 3D for those 2 spots, of course, but mostly for the sound. In the 2 theaters I was in, the 2D sound seemed very underwhelming, and with that score and those sound effects, the 3D IMAX has got to be a way better experience for that.
Well, that's where IMAX stands up for me. The sound for in an IMAX theater is just astonishing. Okay. Why couldn't Kylo stop Chewie's shot? Asks Tim Roberts. Well, yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, was he more kind of just emotionally overwhelmed by killing his dad?
Yeah,
Probably. Yeah.
I think that was it. I like that Chewie didn't hesitate, though. He just turned and fired, and he couldn't hit crap before that, but then he was spot on at everything.
Like basically, you killed my mind. How dare you?
Right.
That's exactly what he was saying.
Yeah. Well,
I translated it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's on the Blu-ray with the subtitles. Yeah.
Yeah. By the 3D Blu-ray version, you will get like the ability to understand what Chewie says.
And a team
That'll be the
poster.
3rd DVD, actually. It'd be the director's cut and then the Chewbacca cut.
Oh, no. She works for Disney now.
And I think to wrap things up then, well, I mean, first things first, is there anything that anyone would like to bring up in terms of spoilers that we want to talk about when it comes to The Force Awakens?
I don't have a
BB-8.
spoiler, but another really cool tidbit that I read. The scene where Rey is being interrogated and he leaves and she's left with a stormtrooper who she convinces to leave the door open. You know who that stormtrooper was?
Okay.
I know now after reading a certain article.
Yeah, that's how I found out too. And then watching it the second time, I could almost make out the voice, but it was Daniel Craig, James Bond.
But don't we think that's his best role in years?
Oh,
It is.
Burn.
Well, I can't say anything. I haven't seen him in the James Bond films, so I can't really say anything.
You're so lucky. You're so lucky. It's unbelievable.
I would think that he's pretty good in them, but I don't know.
No, I'm backing Mark up on this one. Actually, I'm backing him up to some degree. I think he's a fantastic James Bond, but the film's shit. Simple. They really are quite crap. Okay. Well, I did turn around and say, is there anything that we haven't talked about? And I heard Mark turn around and say the one character that we haven't discussed yet. BB-8.
That was Andy.
Was it Andy?
He's obsessed with it. He's obsessed
Yeah,
with it.
I have one. He's sitting here.
There
Wonder
you
why
go.
we haven't talked about him yet.
Mine is at home. I have a Sphero as well. I love BB-8. What's everyone's takes on BB-8 and especially its relationship with R2-D2?
I wish I had a lighter.
Oh my god, I lost it when that happened. Like,
That
I'm
was
like,
the best.
yeah, I'm like, did he just like then go back? I'm like, that did not just happen, and I had to hold myself back. I'm like, okay, everyone stop laughing. I need to stop laughing as well. But no, that was BB. He like, where's his Academy Award nomination for God's sake? Like, that dude, that little thing, like, supporting actor in a film or whatever. He deserves it because damn, BB-8 was hilarious and fun to follow.
I think he even had more character than R2-D2 did.
I want to say that too. It's so weird to say that, but he did really well for himself in this film, and I can't wait to get some memorabilia with him.
I think he's the glue that holds the entire film together, because if you notice, he's in the scenes where it transitions from the new to the old, or the old to the new. So to me, because we already know him, because obviously we've seen him so much, you know, everybody's bought the toys and things like that, everybody knows him, even though he's a new character, and he kind of just, he makes the scenes work together better. So it was always nice to see him, and he always had something to play as well. I think he's a very good character itself.
Yeah.
The way that they can work emotion into something like that always blows my mind. Like, they definitely went over to the Pixar people and were like, "Can you help us with this?"
Yes, definitely.
They nailed it. Between that and when he was shocking Finn on the ground, and every time he would tilt his head to the side, I'm in love. I want that Sphero now.
Okay, excellent stuff. Yeah, we've got. Let's go through the comments then, just to wrap things up. El Macias is turning around saying, "Can't wait for more Knights of Ren. Are they former Jedi? Where do they come from? The one that seems like he's wearing a Mandalorian helmet intrigues me. I'm very curious to see about the Knights of Ren, because that was just an amazing idea. I want to see where they go with that." What else have we got? Stormtroopers and TIE fighter pilots can't shoot for shit. Fair enough.
Wait, we can curse on this thing? I wasn't sure. I didn't know we could do that.
What was that? Sorry?
Wait, we can curse? Like, we can, we can curse?
We're grown-ups.
Okay, Oscar Isaac is fucking hot.
That is what you use your cursing for, and I'm not surprised.
I needed to say that so many times. Like, no, I don't wanna be rude and cursing.
Now Google Plus will kick you out, and
or BB-8 will just turn on his lighter, but then it will go down this time.
That's hilarious.
I have
No, the weakest link. Goodbye.
We have lost a number of viewers right there when we started cursing. You see, they don't like the curse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Listen, I totally agree. He was fantastic. Let's see what else. Han Solo is, if he is going to come back, he's going to need a robotic stomach.
All robotic stuff he's gonna need,
He's gonna be a robot if he comes back, and that's how Harrison Ford won't have to do the movie anymore. Maybe just voice it, like he could do that.
It's $23 million just to voice.
Here's an interesting one as well. This is from Tim Roberts, and it's absolutely true as well. Captain Phasma, did she buckle to the pressure from Han and Finn too easily? Would she have really done the Resistance's dirty work so quickly?
That is a good question. I kind of wondered about that too. Like, she couldn't do something to mess with them at those controls, convince them that she put the shields down, but not do it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. I was like, oh, that was kind of easy.
Yeah. Very curious. Right, so, okay, let's wrap things up then with the two questions. Number one, what was our favourite character in the entire film? We'll start with Andy.
Rey, absolutely Rey. I'm, as much as I love, Finn and Sexy Poe and BB-8 and stuff like that, Rey is the one that I'm like, I will follow her wherever she goes. I want to see more of her. I think Daisy really is phenomenal. I'm like, Marvel, are you looking at her for Captain Marvel already? Because I think you got something there. Just saying. But yeah, but either way, she's the one she's my favorite character. I want to see more of her because I think she's someone that the Star Wars universe needs, and hopefully she's just the beginning of more strong female characters in this amazing universe.
Fair enough. Kat?
Rey is my favorite too. I don't know if I would see her as a Captain Marvel, maybe more as like a Jessica Drew Spider-Woman.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't know if she should be British there, but who knows? They'll change her origins completely. But yeah, Rey's my favorite. But Sexy Poe definitely comes in a close second. But yeah, I can't wait to follow Rey and her franchise as we go along, because it's kind of now her franchise in a way. The weight of the world is definitely on her shoulders for these two next movies.
Okay. Chris, what was your favorite character?
I don't see her as Miss Marvel, but definitely Rey, because not only was she great in the film, but I could get lost in those eyes and that smile time and time again. I could watch that on mute.
The mute version will be for on DVD. Then no words. Just
Then no one understands Chewbacca at all.
We already got like 5 pitches for Disney. We should be rich by the end of the year.
Come on, and you can make all of these.
And last but not least, Mark, favorite character?
Poe Dameron.
Show us the shirt.
No, they will be available in shops from January.
Myself, it was a mixture of Maz Kanata. I love that character. I want to see more Maz and find out what that's all about. And also Scottish Scottish X-Wing pilot. We had 2 Scots in Star Wars with full-blown Scottish accents. Excellent. So that was rather cool. Right, we've had a question which this is what we'll wrap up on then, and it's from El Macias, who's watching. Episode 8, 2 years and counting. Obviously, it's going to be J.J. Abrams is not directing this film. It is now a full-blown. The Star Wars universe is off and running. It's going to be obviously a year after Rogue One. So we're going to be having Episode 8 in 2 years' time. But it's going to need a title. And very quickly, on the spot, title predictions, please, for Star Wars Episode 8. I'll leave you for a second, and then we'll go to Mark.
Star Wars Episode 8, the Force hits snooze button. Maybe?
Okay.
No?
The Force needs 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
That's the extended cut.
Kat.
I have no clue. Star Wars Episode 8, more sexy Oscar Isaac. Or I stole Andy's title.
Andy?
Take me, lad. I really need to figure out a title.
You're gonna do a real one.
I'm going hardcore with this.
Okay, I got mine then. Star Wars Episode 8, Death Star 4.0.
Slash 5.0. There'll be 2 of them in one movie. That'll be the big reveal.
Oh, a double Death Star. Yeah, it even sounds better.
I've got one. Star Wars Episode 8, The Rise of the Jedis.
Okay. That was very sensible from you.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's what threw me.
Someone just check on Searby, he's ill.
Very sensible. I'll go with Star Wars Episode 8, yet another Skywalker.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
So there we go. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed to my 4 guests.
I have a title. Sorry. I thought of.
Oh,
No, it's all right. It's all right. I think the next title is going to include the word legend or legends in it.
Is it because of Legends of Tomorrow?
No. I was For one, it's nothing to do with DC. Yeah, nothing with DC Comics or anything. I feel there's going to be something with the word legends in that.
Legendary.
I mean, like the legend. The legend begins, or the legend rises, or like something. I feel that the legend
Rise of the Legends. There you go.
Yeah, I feel like something that word is going to be somewhere there. I just feel it.
Okay. Right.
Wait, why was that awkward?
Oh, it's spot on. The Legends of
Legends of the Jedi.
Legends of the Jedi.
Excellent. Right, so thank you very much indeed to my 4 guests, and thank you very much indeed to everyone for watching. Where can people find you online, Andy?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at AndyBike, just my first and last name, as you can see, but wherever my column is set. So I'm also the host of the Flash Podcast that you can find at theflashpodcast.com. I'm also the founder and editor-in-chief of themodelreport.com, and you can find my work at TVO Remind and Horror Hollywood.
Excellent stuff. What days does the Flash podcast go out?
We tend to get them out every Wednesday. Sometimes it's depending on when we record. Sometimes we record on Tuesday night after the show's aired, and so we will put it up during the morning so that people can get the fresh discussion right away, or we will put it out in the afternoon just before air begins. So like they at 6 p.m. usually Eastern they can catch the Flash podcast. So, but always Wednesdays, unless it's like the crossovers episode when we have to move it to Thursday or something. But yeah, always Wednesdays.
Are you doing stuff at the moment for Legends of Tomorrow, or just are you on
I'm just a producer on that. That's all Kat's. The Kat is. You'll tell you all about it. But that's her baby, and I'm just helping her from there behind and so on. But yeah, no. But I'm kind of like we're kind of part of a whole DC podcast network that people can find if they want to listen to podcasts. They go to Arrow, Gotham, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and The Flash, and now also DC films as well. So yeah. So I'm all over the place when it comes to DC stuff. But I love DC and Marvel. I'm just saying, it's like we can. There's no verses in there or me if you want to live to Warner Bros.
Only if you watch the DC or listen to DC Films podcast, then there's a lot of verse. Batman versus Superman. So.
Exactly.
Okay. Is there like a central website for people to go to catch all these podcasts? Best place for people to go?
They're all separate websites, but at some point I'm gonna, just create my own website and just have like all the things that I'm doing so that people can. I'm like andrewback.com,
Andyverse.
Sorry.
Andyverse.
Oh my God, I'm so temptful to buy that now.
Too late, just got it.
Damn you, go daddy. Yeah, no, but eventually I will do a site so you can because I'm doing so many things now on the internet. So yeah, no, but like theflashpodcast.com, themarvelport.com, dcpodcast.com, herohollywood.com, and tvromance.com. That's all my work.
Cool. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Andy.
Thank you.
And Kat, so you're behind the Flash podcast, and are you on a little bit a break at the moment, or have you got one coming up?
Yes, for the Legends Tomorrow podcast, we just put up an episode yesterday, so we're on a little hiatus until the new episodes air, or really the series airs, so until like the end of January, but we might be doing some stuff in the middle there, so look forward to that. Other stuff I do, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's Hayden Claire Heroes, but you can just type in Comic Uno and you'll find it. And then my other group YouTube channel, Comic Frontline. Also, I'm a comic editor at the Marvel Report, and also I have my own comic book, like Father Like Daughter, and you could see all that stuff on my Twitter and get all that information.
Excellent, which is at Comic Uno on Twitter. Excellent stuff. We have Mr. Chris Sully. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Chris.
I am one half of
do we even have to ask where people can find you?
Oh, I got to go through it though, right? It's part of the spiel. I am one half of the Nerd Foo. My partner Steve is not with us on the podcast or on the cast today, but you can check us out at thenerdfoo.com. We're on Twitter at thenerdfoo. We do a weekly podcast that airs or goes out on Thursday mornings on iTunes and Stitch and all that good stuff. And then don't forget, we also have right now, shameless plug, our own Star Wars giveaway going on thenerdfoo.com. Somebody can win 17 Star Wars figures and different things. So go check it out if you get a chance.
That is a plug and a half. Well done, sir. Congratulations.
Is Poe one of them?
I don't know. I might be able to find something and add it in for you.
Oh, good.
A Team Poe T-shirt, but via Mark Searby.
And this is where we've had everyone rattle through all of their social media stuff. Let's go through what the massive expanse of stuff that Mark Searby can be found on. Where can people find you, Mark?
I'm on Twitter.
There we go.
Excellent.
Mark Searby for joining us.
I'm on Twitter at Mark_Searby. You can also listen to me every Thursday night. I'm on the Anglian radio station network in the UK, reviewing the latest films at cinema, DVD, and on TV. However, we're on a break because it's Christmas. However, I'm on tonight in an hour and 45 minutes recommending the best movies at Christmas. And then I'm doing the best films of the year on Saturday.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Mark. And for myself, Leonard Sultana, you can find me at anenglishmaninsandiego.com and also on Twitter, EnglishmanSDCC. I do a regular live Google Plus Hangout, which happens on a Sunday, around the same kind of time as what we've done with today, which is 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. GMT. It's Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego, and we are back with that on the 10th of January. We're taking a couple of weeks off for Christmas and the New Year, and it really leaves me just to say, everybody who's watching, thank you so much indeed for joining us for this spoilerific Force Awakens hangout, and have yourself an absolutely fantastic Christmas, festive season, and of course, Happy New Year as well. I'll see you on the 10th of January, and do take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Go and see The Force Awakens again. Let's see if we can, in fact, bury that Avatar and Titanic box office where it belongs, somewhere down below where it needs to be. Let's have Force Awakens on top where it absolutely belongs. Thank you very much indeed, and for myself and all of my guests, take care. Bye-bye, everybody. Does everyone want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
May the force be with you.
May the Force be with you, absolutely.